You spend years building a precise plan for your life. You put in the effort, check the right boxes, and expect a specific outcome. Then, without warning, that structure shatters. Burnout sets in. You watch peers achieve the things you thought you were owed, and jealousy takes root. In his book, When Things Don't Go Your Way, Korean Zen Buddhist teacher Haemin Sunim examines this moment of collapse. He argues that a major setback is not the end of your story, but the catalyst required to redefine who you truly are. When you are struggling through a ruined plan, the situation itself is rarely the primary source of your pain. The true agony comes from your psychological resistance to it, your mind's relentless, exhausting refusal to accept the new reality. Sunim suggests a thought experiment to dismantle this friction. Imagine your current painful situation was actually a deliberate choice. Treat it as a necessary step built into your plan for personal growth. Once you adopt that perspective, observe what happens to your internal tension. The resistance fades. You regain your narrative agency. The ability to write the next chapter of your life only begins the moment you completely stop fighting the reality of your current circumstances. There is a frustrating paradox built into human psychology. You cannot effectively change your behavior until you accept yourself exactly as you are. People who refuse to accept their current state remain highly defensive. They resist critical feedback and build complex rationalizations for why they cannot improve. This concept was famously codified by the theologian Reinhold Niebuhr in the Serenity Prayer. The core instruction is analytical. You must draw a strict boundary between the actions you have the courage to change in the future and the unchangeable events of the past that you must simply accept. People often misunderstand what this means in practice. Acceptance does not mean excusing someone's bad behavior, and it does not mean validating a tragedy. It strictly requires abandoning your futile desire to alter the past. To let go of a derailed plan is not an aggressive act. You aren't forcefully ripping the past away. As the Buddhist teacher Jack Kornfield puts it, to let go simply means to let things be, approaching your circumstances with quiet compassion. As long as you are actively chasing an alternative timeline that doesn't exist, you remain bound to your frustration. Ceasing that endless, restless chase is the only way to strip external pressures of their control over your peace of mind. This internal lack of acceptance rarely stays contained and inevitably bleeds out into the physical world, creating acute friction in how we interact with the people around us. The 20th century spiritual teacher, Jiddu Krishnamurti, famously described our daily relationships as mirrors. You cannot observe your own mind in a vacuum. It is only by watching how you respond to other people that you can spot your hidden desires, your pretensions, and your deepest fears. Osho Rajneesh, another prominent spiritual teacher from India, expanded on this idea. He argued that emotional maturity is not achieved by building a hardened defensive shell against the world. True maturity requires intentionally sensitizing yourself to both your own pain and the suffering of others. You can see this clearly in everyday vulnerabilities. Think of running into a past infatuation at a school reunion, only to find they are just an average person. Your initial captivation was a psychological projection of your own internal needs onto them, rather than an objective view of their character. By analytically studying the ways other people frustrate or disappoint us, we gather highly accurate data about ourselves. These relational conflicts map out the exact internal resistances we still need to accept. Once you have accepted your reality and mapped your internal resistance, you have to execute the most counterintuitive step of all. You have to learn how to give up. This is entirely different from passive defeat. Giving up in this context is an active and courageous rejection. It means refusing to fulfill the expectations set by those around you so that you can finally discover an authentic path of your own. Haemin Sunim experienced this pivot firsthand. He was deeply entrenched in a highly stable, prestigious academic career, working as a professor in the United States. Then he chose to walk away from it entirely. He returned to Seoul to open a nonprofit organization called the School for Broken Hearts. The transition was terrifying. He faced intense doubts about whether adults would even enroll in his classes, and his peers actively tried to dissuade him from leaving academia. Fast forward less than 5 years, the school expanded into a massive second branch in the city of Busan. Sunim and 50 other instructors now guide over 3,000 students a year through programs of healing and growth. The effort you pour into a plan that eventually fails is never wasted. The specialized knowledge, the hard-won experience, and the grit you acquire, and that process act as the essential structural foundation for whatever you build next. Success is an ongoing evolutionary process of adapting to reality. A shattered plan is the opportunity to reauthor your life with the insights you've earned from the struggle.